Blessings, Stardust. Being more of a visual learner, but asking the question, what are leading lines? Physically, or is it more spiritually? What am I talking about when I say that? Leading lines. Leading lines. Can you connect the dots? Can you connect the dots? As in, you see it, and then something else like comes along, and maybe it look a little different, but it's like the exact same thing, and you say, wow, is that really a coincidence? Or like, just like what I was talking about, like Blue Bloods, I was talking about it a couple weeks ago, and then all of a sudden I see a movie, I see this movie, what was it? Underworld, and it had to do with vampires, werewolves, and all this other stuff. And then all of a sudden, I see something. Put my phone down for a second. I see something, and then it all started to make sense. Vampires and werewolves in this movie. And I don't know if you ever saw the movie Underworld, but it came out, I think, around the early 2000s, around 2003, 2004. And then you had your mixed races. You had your vampires, you had your werewolves, and then you had this other race, which was both. And they didn't bleed like normal, vampires and werewolves did. They bleed blue. They're blue bloods. They call them blue bloods. They're blue-blooded. And then, well, going back, since I was talking about your blue bloods, your blue blood race, whatever, and then it all started to make sense. I'm like, how is it? I was just talking about Enoch, because it goes into blue blood race, your blue bloods, and then this happens. I said, what was that? It was a werewolves. They bleed blue. But they're not just werewolves. They're vampires and werewolves combined. But I don't think it was just werewolves, and I don't think it was just the mixed race. I think it was also werewolves. But what is my main topic? What is my main topic? I mean by, like, what do I mean by this? Like, how do I put it all together? That your race of blue bloods goes all the way back to Enoch. All the way back to Enoch. It's your blue and red bloodline. Alkaline versus your copper-based bloodline. And one, as in your blue blood, does not oxidize the same way your red bloodline oxidizes. Your red bloodline, it doesn't mix, because remember the Cain and Abel story, where you had Cain's sacrifice, as in his sheep sacrifice, because remember Abel's sheep sacrifice, because remember his job was to herd over the sheep, and Cain's job was like he watched over the ground, so he was more of like a groundsman. He was more of a groundskeeper type person. So he would like really watch more of the watch over, like make sure the soil was healthy, the grass, make sure the ground was healthy, pretty much plentiful and healthy, besides like being a sheep herder like Abel was. And remember when they had to present their sacrifices, one was alkaline versus copper based, and God did not take Cain's sacrifice. And Cain began to grow angry with anger. And you have to wonder, wow, does the blue bloodline represent Cain's anger? But it's like it's more of the spiritual aspect to it rather than physical. So maybe it doesn't like the blue bloods don't really bleed blue. Maybe it's more like you don't come to your senses, as in your consensus of the truth. You will never come to your senses of what the truth really is. You're just here to live, and then after you die, you know what happens next. And it's not good. I'll just say that. It's not good. That's it. That's all I really wanted to say. God bless, amen. Fire and ice. Godspeed out.